Hey, welcome back to the channel, folks. If you're new here, welcome, glad to have you. If y'all don't mind hitting that subscribe and that bell, sure would appreciate it. Anyway, cams. I'm getting some questions on cams. You know, I'm not an expert. I don't pretend to be one, and all I can share with you is my personal experience and other guys I ride with and what their experiences are, and my mechanic and a couple other mechanics. But I thought I might give you some criteria if you're looking for a cam and you're an older rider. I think I can tell you what not to do. You know, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there, and well, they're just pushing horsepower and got them on the dyno. I've got this much horsepower, and I can drag race with this. But you older riders probably don't want a horsepower cam. You're probably going to want a torque cam. Now, I'm not into like giving advice of which cam to get, and that's something you'll have to decide for yourself, but there's lots of information out there. But what I will tell you is your riding style and your age, the kind of bike you ride, are going to determine what kind of cam you should get. Now, for me, I got the SNS 465 cam with the Thundermax tuner. And yes, you're going to have to get a tuner. And it was probably too much cam for me. I could have gone to a lighter cam, and I could have gone to a different tuner, and my gas mileage probably wouldn't suck. And I do think that the torque cams actually use more gas, but I'm not for certain. I just know by some of the guys I ride with and what their gas mileage is. But if I had it to do over again, I probably would have gone with a lighter, torqueier cam, and probably would do a different tuner. Because if you stick with even the Harley Davidson torqueier cams and some of the other ones, you don't need a lot of lobe and a lot of torque. You just need enough. And I have a friend who's got a much lighter cam, and I think he's using a standard Harley tuner, and he's happy with it, and his gas mileage does not suck. Now, everyone's pushing horsepower cams because horsepower sells, but torque wins races, according to Jay Leno, and he's right. For you older guys, especially if you got your wife on the back, do you really want to rev that thing up? And if you're behind a truck or another car and you need to get around quick, do you want to wait for that horsepower cam to develop enough torque to pass, or do you just want to hit it? Now, one thing I love about my 465 SNS, I don't even have to think. I can be in 6th gear and I can just hit it and boom. Because that 465 is dumping gas into those cylinders to give me that immediate torque. Horsepower cams are going to rely on RPMs, and get those RPMs up. You know, in Harley Davidson, they were really disappointing. They came out with a 131, and they had a horsepower cam in it. Do you know why? Because they could publish specs that says this amount of horsepower in the 131, because no one's looking at torque. But I know of two guys who had to immediately change that cam to something with a little torqueier in the bottom end, because that's a lot of motor to have to try to rev up. Do you really want to go 4,000 RPMs before you really get the torque you want? That's not for the average guy. It's not for me. And if you're somebody who lives in Colorado or some of the states out west, you're not going to be using speed going through those turns and going up in the mountains. What you really need is torque, because you're going up those mountains. You probably got a wife on the back, and speed is not what you need into those curves. You need torque, you need ass, you need bottom end. So when you're looking for a cam, maybe you are a young guy, you want a drag race, okay, get a horsepower cam. But for the rest of us, it's going to be disappointing if you put one in and all of a sudden you realize, I think I made a mistake. What I was really looking for was some low end. And most of these horsepower cams, you're just going to have to rev that motor to do it. You know, my 465, I complain about the gas mileage a lot, but I don't think I'd trade it. I'll deal with the gas mileage, but it is such a strong cam, and it even idles like a monster, and it feels good most of the time. But that cam has really got me out of a couple of situations, and if I didn't have that cam, I would have had to rev that motor. But also, if you've got a stock bike, a 114, 117, you got to think twice about whether you need a cam or not. I mean, those are pretty good motors, and they have good specs. The other thing I would recommend, and all the mechanics tell me this too, they run too lean. So you'll need a tuner, maybe an FP4, FP3, something that'll dump a little bit more gas in there and cool that motor down. It'll give you a little bit better performance. Most of them have a auto tuning function on them, and if I was to get maybe a 117, if the wife would let me, if she wouldn't kill me, it'd be hard to ride it dead. I might do that. I might just go for a gentle tune. The way I ride now, I don't ride fast anymore. Used to. You young guys are out there saying, yeah, well, maybe your nurse hasn't changed your catheter in a while. Oh, okay, I'm older. But as you get older, you realize the joy of riding is not fast anymore, but you do want to have that torque. When my wife's on the back, I really love that torque. So before you get into buying a cam, why don't you really think about how you ride, where you ride, what kind of bike you ride, before you make any decisions. And talk to a lot of mechanics too. Mine's really good. I've talked to several, and before I got the S&S, and I guess I'm just going to keep it, just because I enjoy it. I enjoy that sound, and I'm sitting at a light. It does kind of draws attention, even though my mufflers aren't that loud. It just sounds great. And I wouldn't change the torque figures for anything. So before you buy that cam, do a little research and ask yourself, how do I ride?